Well, welcome to the recording to discuss the image processing unit. And the image processing unit is part of week 7, I guess. No, week 4. Part of week 4, sorry. And there's no write-up for this. No write-up for this, but of course there is a write-up. The weekly write-up covers only the light and flash unit up here, and that's already posted in the week 4 recording. But I'm also posting a recording right here for image processing unit, which is the Thursday work. So the Thursday work, image processing, and you can see that you're going to download a program called GIMP software. You're going to learn about working with color, learn about resizing images, then you have 2 photo assignments in the unit exam. And of course the photo assignments, as always, I have posted them in the assignment directions announcement. So I go to the announcements, assignment directions, and you can see that I've posted these short videos, 3- and 5-minute videos on how to do those assignments. Let's go ahead and we'll run through fairly quickly image processing unit. And image processing, it's different nowadays than it used to be in the old days. In old photography, you've learned early on that you had to have your film developed. Nowadays, of course, you just use your computer software to work with the brightness, the contrast, the colors, all of those types of things, right? So you don't have to have darkrooms do your work. Your computer is now your digital darkroom. And there are lots of programs like Photoshop, PhotoPaint, PhotoStyler that can help you do that. But there are also some free software, and that's what GIMP is, G-I-M-P, and we'll look at that shortly. And some of the things you want to think about that you can do with these photo softwares is adjust the image size, the image color, and the image sharpness. So we'll learn all about those things. So section 2. Now in section 2, here's where you download the program called GIMP. And GIMP, G-I-M-P, it stands for Graphical Image Manipulation Program, GNU Image Manipulation Program. And it's a free download. Millions of people have downloaded it, and you get it's license free and all kinds of things. So go to the next screen, and when you're here, here's where you download it. You can see that here's GIMP for Windows and here's GIMP for Mac. And this says download 2.4.6 of the program, but the latest download, I'm going to click here as it says, the latest download is 2.86, and that's okay. So that's what you want to download. So you'll go right here and you'll hit download. And you can see up here it's going to start in a few seconds. You don't want to click on that advertisement or anything. So then, like at the bottom of my screen right here, you can see it's downloading the software. So once that gets downloaded, then a button will come up and it'll say something like run or save. You just want to hit run and go ahead and get this installed. Well, obviously I have a very slow connection, so I'm not going to wait that long to demonstrate this. But you've downloaded software before, so bottom line is you're going to download the GIMP software. That's what you're going to use to edit your programs or edit your images. So you download GIMP, and when you download it, again it'll download and it'll say run or save on the exe file. You can just hit run, and then it'll start installing automatically for you. So working with color, a little bit about that, and what you want to do, what they're having you do in this unit on these sets of pictures is you're going to go in and adjust your pictures so that you know the color is right. So if we take a look at this, it starts talking about, first digital cameras were black and white, the first ones, and that was probably 30 years ago, because they did have old version digital cameras. Now of course digital cameras are much more sophisticated, and we have digital darkrooms, which means software to adjust pictures and such. And you can fix almost any color problem with pictures. You can adjust the hue and the saturation, and hue is the actual color of the object, saturation is the amount of color. You can adjust the color balance, which balances the color between the 3 basic colors of an image. So you see that there's lots of things you can do to adjust your pictures, make them look good. So after we finish this section, we're going to know what hue and saturation is. We're going to know what color balance is. Brightness and contrast, we'll learn about those tools, and we'll learn how to use GIMP. So take a look at this, hue and saturation. So when you're in GIMP and you open up a photo, so this is like the picture that this demonstration is opened up on, you can see we can adjust all kinds of things. Now your version, the 2.8.6 of GIMP, might look slightly different, but what you want to do, which is really nice, have the preview button on, and you can just move these sliders, and then your picture will change on your screen so you can see what you're doing. And then if you really mess it up, you can hit reset and it'll go back to its original. So that's the work you're going to be doing, the type of work to adjust your pictures. And this talks about it. Hue is the tool that allows you to control the color of the object. Saturation is how much color you get in the object. So you don't want to add too much saturation or your images could look unnatural. And of course, hue and saturation, they work with the primary colors, blue, green, and red. The color wheel and the channels, of course, you learn about color wheels early in life, like when you're in kindergarten, first grade, you learn about color wheels. But you've seen, like in word processing programs, and maybe done some digital editing, how the basic ideas of the color wheels, the blue, green, and red, and of course all these other colors on the wheel are combinations of solid blue, solid green, and solid red. And then they are opposites. So if you look right here, like we have the red color, cayenne is opposite. Opposite of blue is yellow. Opposite of green is magenta. So you can see how those color wheels are lined out. What color is missing from the color wheel? Blue is missing from the color wheel. I'm not sure what that means. I see blue right there. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Blue is missing. Oh, what color is missing from the color yellow? Okay, so blue is missing from the color yellow. So what that means is that when we go down here to color, since yellow is opposite blue, then yellow has no blue in it. But if we go right here, this green has a little bit of blue in it. This yellow right here has a little bit of blue in it. Okay, that's what that was saying. So as we move along, let's talk more about the color balance tool. So here's another GIMP tool called color balance. So again, this picture is open, and you go to color balance, and your color balance box might look slightly different from this. You just want to play around with that. And it talks about color balance under the colors menu. Magenta is a common color cast. So just play around with your pictures. You might get like reddish orange casts from different lights that you take pictures in. So you can adjust the sliders to take away some of that reddish orange. Now the one key to this, don't over adjust and don't make all your adjustments at once. You just want to make a little adjustment, look at the picture, then make another adjustment. If you make too many adjustments at once, then you don't know which adjustment had which effect on your image. Color balance. So more about color balance. Now you can talk about the range to adjust on your pictures. So just play around with this on your images and see what everything does. Color balance also has something called preserve luminosity. And what that means is it will preserve the brightness. The brightness will stay constant on the image. Little self-check activity. So go through that self-check activity. Drag and drop. Color brightness. So brightness and contrast, they're all in the same tool, at least in this version. I think the new version is on the same tool also, the tool menu. So you can look at both controls independently, then see how they work together. So I would, when you get your photo up, just adjust the brightness up and down, see what it does. Then adjust the contrast by itself, put brightness back in the middle and adjust the contrast by itself. And then kind of do a mixture just to see what happens. learn how those things work. Control contrast. So this is still about brightness and contrast. So talking about those things, talking about how you can look at the highlights and the shadows of a picture. You can add contrast to the darker areas. Add contrast, the darker areas get darker, the lighter areas get lighter. You can adjust the different tones that you have. So play around with that a little bit. Nice thing about this, your pictures, I'm going to judge a little bit that the colors are right, but I want you to kind of just play around with some of these color things. Brightness and contrast together. So again, this just talks more about using that brightness and color box, more of them all together here. Self-check activity, go ahead and do that. There's no quiz or section quiz or anything. Okay, resizing images. One of the other things you can do with GIMP is resize your images so they don't take up, they're not so large in megabytes, and so you can adjust the height, the width of the images and things like that. So let's see when this thing redraws on the screen here. Resizing images, here we go. So resizing images, so one advantage of digital photography is that we can resize the images as much as we want. Back in film days, you had to print large ones in a frame, do all kinds of things, but now we can kind of do that on the run or whenever we want to. Now sometimes resizing can mess up the picture, and we'll learn a little bit about that. So we're talking about aspect ratio, talk about scaling and preserving the aspect ratio, and talk about sharpening images. So let's look at the scaling images. So one way to change the size of an image is to resize it. So it takes an image of one size and tries to stuff it in a different size. Sometimes this can work. But if you take something that's too big and then try to jam it into a size that's too small, then the quality of the image can suffer. So that's why you want to scale an image. So in this process, the photo actually creates a smaller version of the image exactly, so the pixels are all the same and things like that. So here's a big absolute truth. When you're going to scale an image to another size, scale it first. So you want to scale the image before you start doing other contrast work and things like that. So scale it before you do other contrast work. Okay, the scale tool, so you can see in this example, this image is open. It's under the images menu probably. And you can scale it either larger or smaller. You really don't want to make them larger. The quality suffers when you blow them up, but reducing them make them smaller, and then you'll use this scaling tool will do that pretty well. So you just go up and make your adjustments on the width and the height, and just kind of play around with that, see what happens. And the thing is, you only have to enter one of the values because the other will do it automatically. So that keeps the aspect ratio. It's like right here, I can go to width instead of 2272. I might type 227, so it'd be a tenth of this, and this would automatically go down to 170, a tenth of that number. So we'll keep the ratio for you. And once you set the number, then you hit the word scale, and it will scale it for you. So the aspect ratio generally for digital cameras, it's 4:3, meaning that width would be 400, height would be 300. So it's 4:2. So this would be 400, 300. This could be, like since this is up to 500, then this is 375, so that keeps the 4:3. If the width was 800, this would be 600. If the width was 1200, this would be 900. So it's always in the same ratio of 4 to 3. So you can see how those ratios break down. And the width is always stated first. And when you do it in GIMP, GIMP automatically figures things out. And the nice thing about that is if you let GIMP figure it out, because if you do it, if you try to put different numbers in both boxes, you could smush the picture one way or the other. So you want GIMP, you just adjust one number and let GIMP give you the other number. So here's a self-check activity, go through that. Of course, you've seen lots of those in this course. It's going to be a little drag and drop activity. Some more about resizing and scaling. So if you want a picture to be 800 by 600, enter either one of those values in the right box, and then the other will be changed automatically. And leave the resolution boxes alone right here, because you want resolution to be 72 like this, because that's the standard image resolution for images to show on the internet. So don't worry about changing that. And of course, after you do all this work and you do some scaling, then you're going to save it. Make sure you save it as a .jpg image at the end of it, JPEG image. Then you can view the resized image. So once you resize it, then you can zoom, and you can do all kinds of things with this to see how it all looks. So the resized image will be really small on the monitor screen, but then you can go up to view and look at it at 100% size, or view and zoom in just to see what it looks like, get a better look at it. And then once you resize, it's going to be off a little bit, and your eyes might not be able to tell, but it will be off a little bit. So then you're going to go to sharpen. So you use the sharpen menu, and that's going to be under the filters, enhance, and sharpen. So you'll go in there and you'll hit sharpen, and always make sure preview is checked so then you can see what your image looks like when it gets sharpened. And that'll take off like some fuzzy edges and things like that. But you don't want to over sharpen. Over sharpen will look worse than one that is actually sharpened. So setting between 30 and 40 should be just enough for when you sharpen. And then of course save it. Make sure it's saved as a JPEG. So this is all we learned about resizing an image. There's a little quiz you can play with, see how well you can do. And finally the unit exam, and of course the unit exam preview is right over here. Now the work for this unit, you have two photo assignments. Photo assignment 1, photo assignment 2, and you will do both of those, and of course those are listed in the assignment directions recording I have in the announcements. Now GIMP, so this tells me that GIMP has been downloaded. Now if I want to set it up, I would go ahead and hit right here to set it up, but I'm not going to set it up right now. Actually, let me do that and see if it takes. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit run. No idea how long it's going to take, but maybe I'll show you just the beginning screen of this as it. And I just hit yes to all of this stuff. Yes, I want English version. It says something about my display. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I think it'll be fine. So now it's going to go ahead and install GIMP 2.8. So that's what you're going to work through. And we're not going to sit here and watch it install on my machine, but that's what you're going to do on yours. So there you have it. I've discussed image processing, and again, there's no write-up for the image processing unit. The image processing unit is part of week 4 work. Image processing unit is the Thursday, Friday part of week 4 work. So that's all I have for you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.